the whole year. So in December, it will be the whole year will have passed. So we're looking to start. Let's just start with suggestions. How's that?
Okay, so if you have a suggestion, please use your virtual hand and I will call on you. Ginger, your mic is now open.
Hello there, this is Ginger. I do have a few suggestions, and one of them I'll start with is the group that was called COVID-19 Mask Force 2020. This was a group that was started by one nurse, and she, or ex-nurse, or never an ex-nurse, I guess, you're always a nurse. And she decided she wanted to help her friends that were in the medical field during the height of pandemic by making masks. Once Centera started to accept homemade masks for the staff, then she just started to solicit volunteers. And from the beginning of her work in, I don't have a start date, and then, but ending on May 25th, there were like 1,405 volunteers, and the group made 40,487 masks, which supported 76 different hospital and medical facilities, and it was all donated, all free. It was a pretty amazing venture there. I know Channel 13 did a short clip on her. Her name was CJ Robeson. So that is someone who I think would be a good person to highlight. Now on their website, they also have a lot of pictures and things. So there are a lot of graphics already available for that. We've got video clips, audio clips that we'd have to get permission for, I believe, to move forward on that. But I thought that was a good, and I'll stop there. I have two other suggestions and just get people's feedback.
Yeah, this is me, Beatrice Hammerman. I have a suggestion as well. I think the food bank of this area has done a phenomenal job. They every time that there's an opportunity, say some organization or Centara is providing COVID-19 testings, they partner with the food bank, and we are able to offer boxes of food for whomever wants to pass by and pick up one. And I think on top of that, at the beginning of the year, when all of this started, my organization and others had a conversation with them because, you know, they were collecting names of people, they were collecting other information because according to the rules previously, people were allowed to come by and get supplies, you know, I think once a month, something like that. They totally, you know, got away with a lot of those regulations that actually could have stopped a lot of people in certain communities from accessing the help. And so they almost immediately they agreed with us. And so we feel that they need to be recognized for being an inclusive organization that really wants to open their services to everyone, regardless of how we want to classify them. And then the other group I have, there's a group in Centara that works with volunteers and coordinates with people and organizations in the community to put together COVID-19 testings free of charge. And a lot of the labor that they do when they have those sites offering services is free for people that absolutely don't have health insurance or any other way to access those COVID testings. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to take one moment just to recognize the fact that Luis has joined our meeting. Hi, Luis. I just unmuted you. Hi, Luis. How you doing? Can you hear us all?
Yes, yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right, David, you have your hand raised. The mic is now open for you.
I was just going to piggyback on what Ginger said. My mom was actually on the board for that group. So if we need any
Right.
info, I can reach out and see if she has any recommendations for other people involved that might be worth mentioning.
Okay, thank you, David. Ginger, did you want to follow up on that?
Yes. Yes, yes, I emailed your mom this morning, so I've got her going also.
Oh,
And,
perfect.
yeah, but I'm glad to let you take that. And I'll have two other examples after people speak. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. All right, Luis?
Yes, I have a question as well as a suggestion. It was my impression in the past that we would, that in order for a person or a group to be awarded, they had to be from the Virginia Beach area or have some affiliation somehow with Virginia Beach. Is that still, because I understand there are food banks that are outside of Virginia Beach in Norfolk, etc. So how does that work with these groups that we're thinking about?
My understanding is not that you have to be located, but your services were provided in the city. And the food bank most definitely has provided those services within the boundaries of the city of Virginia Beach.
Can you still hear me?
Yep, you're still unmuted. Yep.
Yeah, because there's a group that comes to my mind that that has not only, I guess, done things in the area of Hampton Roads, but internationally, and it's Mercy Chefs. They're kind of like our local Jose, what is it, Chef Jose, I forget what his last name is, who has all the restaurants and everything, but Mercy Chefs makes meals, thousands of meals for families, individuals, without asking questions and so on. And I believe that's one of the groups that I would love to see given some kind of an award to. But here again, I don't know what the commission thinks.
Yeah, and I know as a matter of fact that that organization provides meals in the city of Hampton, but I don't know whether they have connected with anybody here in Virginia Beach. But that is a good question and a good suggestion too, because they're an outstanding organization.
And may I interject just right now? And I see the hands up. One of the things that I think we have to decide is, one, we did away with the awards and trying not to be specifically for people. And that's a question for this group to make the suggestion. Do we want to have it more as a, certainly we would have visuals of the people working and doing things, and maybe put the names of the groups or not, but do we want to be more category oriented, like because Kevin and I were talking earlier, and I was saying I never knew how much I appreciated a truck driver until I didn't have I couldn't get things off my shelf, or the stock person, or the person in the pharmacy, and I was telling him I have two sons that are bartenders, and they put up with harassment because they're wearing face masks, and just the people that went, the unsung heroes as well. And do we do clips, or do we do individuals, or what's everyone's feeling?
Teresa, I see you have your hand up.
I do. And Sylvia, I really appreciate that, because I think that this, at least the idea of this came from, a suggestion that I had. And I wanted to make sure that, it's not that just not doing awards this year. It's just that the suggestion was that we do a community unsung hero award around all of those people. And I think when we start getting specific, because I know, like we said, Mercy Chefs, but there's also World Central Kitchen, which did an amazing amount of work with all the African American churches in Virginia Beach and others. I can just give you hundreds of examples of different little people that were doing little things. Like there were a lot of small mask making events and everything, all the teachers that were doing above and beyond type things on the streets. So I was thinking that this meeting would be about kind of gathering, and I don't know if it's Kevin or who it is that helps us decide whether the city has the ability to do a montage. But I was thinking because it's a virtual event, it would be a montage of all kinds of activities throughout the city that we would be lifting as human rights advocates about how all those in the stream of human rights have done little and big amazing things. So it'd be more pictures is what I was thinking of, and the pictures can come from, as Ginger said, maybe a website if we want to solicit some, but also I was thinking the city, because we have there's been a lot of activity around, especially COVID and even the Black Lives Matter movement for racial equity, that I think we could get, and maybe put it to some good music and have people just kind of recognize themselves or people that they know. But I think the more we get into this being specific, it turns back into our regular award ceremony. So I just want to put a word of caution that is not what I was suggesting when I suggested this idea.
Thank you, Teresa. I want to take one moment, just a housekeeping reminder. When you're done speaking, make sure you put down your virtual hand just so I don't call on you more than once. And secondly, Scott with the police department has joined our meeting. Hello. All right.
Hello.
Thank you for joining, Scott. I'm going to go ahead and mute you, just keep everyone muted to avoid any kind of echoing. But if you need to say something, you just use your virtual hand to put it up. All right. Thank you. All right. So, Francis, you had a comment?
Yes, just what Teresa said. My understanding that we were going to do categories rather than groups. I am so afraid that we would offend some group that has worked very hard that we just don't know about. It's just 8 of us who are gathering, and we can't possibly know of all the wonderful things that have been going on. So excuse me, I hesitate, as Teresa said, to start naming groups and organizations, because surely, somebody is going to be left out. I love the idea of categories, all of the nurses, all of the grocery workers, all of the, those kinds of things, and in a visual kind of way, with neat music and, the song of the year or something, I don't know, but that was my thing. So what she said.
All right. Thank you, Francis. David, did you have something to say? David? Are you there? Oh.
Yeah, I think I forgot to put my hand down.
Oh, okay.
That's my bad. Just as I like what Francis and Teresa were saying. The only thing I like about more targeted awards is I think people feel like they're receiving something more that way. Like I work for a big company. If my company won an award, I don't think I would really feel anything. But like if I won the award or my team won the award, I would actually feel like I was included. So I think sometimes counterintuitively, if you try to include everyone, then you actually don't give the feelings you're maybe intending to give to specific people.
Okay. Thank you, David. Ginger?
So I love this conversation is great, and I'm going to try to turn what I was starting with to better meet the categories. So I happened to come across a woman named Christina Caro, and she started a Facebook GoFundMe page to get funding to provide restaurant meals to the nurses in the ICU departments in our hospitals in Virginia Beach. Okay, so not necessarily then focusing on what she did, but in the meantime, there are 18, and I helped deliver some of these to the hospitals too. there are 18 restaurants in our city that provided full meals for like 40 people to these hospitals, and you'd pick them up hot and deliver them too. So is that like it, when I look at it like that, is it something that we could do? Just these people donated food and then just do like a quick shot. Does that also help economy? Does it also help giving notice to some of our businesses that they chipped in? It helped me with
Yeah.
everybody with where I'm going here.
Yes, and as Teresa said, though, there were so many restaurants that did that, and just our very own Mark Stevens, just every day he fed somebody. It was, and there were many at the oceanfront all around. So yeah, I think those are the kinds of people I think should be, and the people that were delivering them. You know, the people that volunteered to go deliver them. What's everybody else think?
Thank you. Beatrice, you had a comment?
Yes, and I agree with the fact that we want to be, how would you say, very effective with our time and make sure that we mention all the categories and all of that. But I agree with David that in some ways, if we just come up with, we want to recognize all the restaurants that provided this, we want to recognize all the food banks, it almost seems like really that we are not lifting up. And I think that this is the initial conversation. What I was thinking is that we were going to say, put an article in the paper for people to lift up, those names that should be mentioned, and not necessarily to give them a spotlight, but in some sense do mention the organizations, the names, and perhaps give them a little moment of shining a light on them. In my opinion, we are doing a service to the community and encourages others. Say, if I am just a person in the food business, and I just say all the restaurants that provided foods, let's give them a hand. How do we help the community know those that went above and beyond, and not include everybody that did not, because there are a lot of restaurants. So you don't leave it up in the air. You really focus on acknowledging something. Even if we, and the reason I'm saying that the way to go around not leaving somebody out is that if we put a couple of articles in the paper, trying to reach out to the community and say, look, this is an effort that we want to make sure that we all are knowledgeable of. People submitted the names and so forth, then we are basically off the hook, because you need to again have nominations. People that actually received the services, or so I would want to go that route rather than just blankly say all the churches that are wonderful, all the restaurants, all the people that work in the supermarket. Well, they all do. But let's try to involve the community. And it is a way also so the community can start thinking of those that went above and beyond during the rest of this year, which still is needing the help of many. So thank you.
Maybe I could, I'm sorry, maybe I could just interrupt for a minute and say, we are doing this for International Human Rights Week, and the Human Rights International Human Rights Day is December 10th. So I think I spoke with Kevin earlier. It would probably run all month. But also remember that I think we talked about it at the last meeting. There's been so many meetings, but I think we did that. The general public also deserves a big hand, kind of an appreciation, because in the middle of our lives, we stopped everything for the better of all. And so we can, I guess I'm thinking more globally. So still listening to ideas, but I just wanted to make sure we stayed on Human Rights Global International Week and the Unsung Heroes.
Thank you, Sylvia. Ginger?
So what do you guys think about this? So Virginia Beach Schools has been providing food. They have grab and go lunches.
Mhm.
Is that the kind of thing like would be a highlight there? And there's another fork to that. And there's a group called, oh, I don't know, it's Virginia Beach's Chef Kip Scratch Cooking, and they partner with SeaTac Elementary. And they put 3 kitchen gardens in 3 different schools around the city. And they've harvested the produce there and put them into the grab and go lunches. And also like that garden that is at SeaTac, the community comes and harvests that. The SeaTac community comes there and they have free reign to harvest that. And I know that I could access some pictures and video on that. What do you guys think about that?
Okay, thank you, Ginger. Teresa?
I think, Ginger, that's exactly what we're talking about. But there are so many of that. I guess that's what I'm trying to say is I substituted this idea as a way to celebrate the community, because big and small. So yes, if we could easily solicit for a whole month, people just downloading pictures. And once again, the question that I thought we had today was to the city people that could tell us, would they be able to, with their resources, put together some sort of a collage, be it pictures, be it some video, coverage. But I wasn't even thinking any words. I was even thinking there's probably a song by one of the artists in our midst in Virginia Beach who may have, during these, and they are human rights times. Life has been threatened. Anything that threatens life is a human rights concern. And so I was thinking that we, as our little ceremony, which might not even be longer than half an hour, we would show, what the Human Rights Committee is about, Commission is about, and then move into this. It would be a Unsung Heroes Awards or award recognition for the community, big and small, all the entities, and we would have to brainstorm all those things, the truck drivers, the grocery people, 10 ministries that, solicited volunteers. So every single day, JCOC, they serve meals, and all the faith communities make sure that there are meals every single day of the week that people could grab and go. The schools, certainly, they could upload their pictures for their community gardens. Everybody could be a part of uploading, but the minute we start to single out, it changes the flavor of what we're talking about as far as this is a historic time. We've never had a time like this before. So I don't think we're trying to duplicate our regular awards recognition, because that is what it is. It is singling out year after year and having them nominated and people, with all their letters of support and all that. That's a whole different thing. And this would be more everybody has made a contribution, as Sylvia said, in one way or another. So there could be people that might want to just upload a picture of them wearing a mask, anything that's been done to further human rights in our city during this time. But the big question is, and that's if we decide to do it this way, does the city, would they be able to put that kind of collage with music and that kind of stuff together? And if we go in a different direction, that's fine. I just heard us saying we would go in this direction when it was lifted up. So if we change it, that's fine. But the proposal that was made was, let's process out this idea. And the idea was, at least at that time, was never to have single recognitions.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Dominique.
Mhm.
After Francis, can we hear from Kevin and his thoughts?
I just want to check one thing. Tommy, were you trying to signal? Did you have something to say? Because I thought I saw your hand waving.
Oh, really? I don't know.
Yeah.
I got a little off screen here, but
Okay.
yeah, the idea too was not to recognize individuals because that was more like the awards, but categories was what, kind of categories of all these wonderful groups that we need to recognize and the things that have been done during this. I was thinking, I didn't research it, but that something that has to do with mental health is that NAMI, Coastal Virginia, had to learn Zoom very quickly, and they have continued to do their family classes and their family support groups and to provide public presentations during this time. It's another section of some of the things that had to be done during this this pandemic.
Okay. Thank you, Tommy. And Francis, and then Kevin, correct, Sylvia?
Yes, please.
Okay.
You may have to leave.
Francis, your mic
Yeah.
is now open.
I was just going to say, I wanted to ask the question. I was going to put it in the Q&A, but is the Q&A not working?
No, it's the Q&A. You can't use the chat,
Okay.
but
The chat, okay. Well, I was just going to ask a question. I thought that this was not an awards year, that this was a recognition year. So I want to make sure, are we all on the page with that? Are we doing awards or are we doing recognition?
I think that's, am I on? I think that's what we are debating right now, but I have the same understanding as you and Teresa and Tommy that it was overall
Recognition.
and I don't know how long it would be. I'll leave that to the expert Kevin, but with, like they said, music, photographs, because the old picture's worth 1,000 words. We've all sat and looked at the puppies that need a home and cried with the music. So, you know, it can be powerful and moving and have a good statement about personal recognition.
And I want to say this, I do think it is a wonderful idea to reach out on social media and through all of the media to ask to upload pictures. We, of course, again, we would need a central site where they would send the pictures, but I'm sure people have pictures, and to me, that would just need a broader spectrum of what goes on in the city for us to try to sit here and try to think of who, and, you know, that we have on our computer. But ask if we reached out on social media, reached out in the newspaper, reached out, you know, whatever means we can to get the broader scope of the community to give us pictures and then to upload those into a presentation, I think would be very, very fitting for what we're going through in this 2020 pandemic.
Okay.
Louis,
Thank
can
you,
you wait?
Francis.
Can you wait till after Kevin, or do you need to speak now?
Luis?
I'm good. They can keep going.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Francis. Kevin, your mic is now open.
Uh-oh. So what we'll need to do is get with the communications office that are based in the city manager's office, and Julie Hill would be the best person to contact. She's the head of that group. They also manage the city social media accounts. So they have a Facebook account, a Twitter account. I believe they have YouTube, Instagram. So they have multiple social media outlets. And they would have to decide, you know, could they assist with the campaign? So I really can't commit their resources. I could help facilitate on the IT side as far as, you know, where we would upload pictures if we just don't want them posted on Facebook, or, you know, people are Instagram crazy nowadays anyway. So I'm sure there's a ton of photos available that people would do. So just from an advice standpoint, I think this is probably doable, because right now, with who knows where we're going back with social distancing and closing of facilities, would be better served to try to get photos. The other nice thing about the photos is you can kind of balance it. Where if you were asking for videos or video comments, different people speak for different durations of time. Some folks could give you comments way too long that you wouldn't want to use it. But it certainly would not be difficult to use photos, and I don't think it'll be difficult to get them, but we really need to get this vetted with the communications office.
Quickly, Kevin, let's say that we are doing photos, just still photos with music in the background. How long of a program would you suggest, in your professional opinion, sir?
Oh, good gosh. I guess you'll have to decide, are you going to take all nominations, or is some subcommittee or something going to work their way through them? There's also the city manager's office has a volunteer resources office. And they may know of things that have been going on in the community that we don't know about, because they could have gotten donation offers that they then forwarded to nonprofits. So there's a lady over there by the name of Melissa Zabutis that would probably also be a good contact. She works in the volunteer office for the city manager. She's like the staff lead. And she does the Next Door program, the Next Door social media thing for the city. So I'm sure there's been folks helping people right and left. And I agree with the comments made a little bit earlier, that you don't want to intentionally leave anybody out. But if you had a nomination process, then you're not, if they're not nominated, you can't include them. So that kind of helps your group. And if you put out the word that you're accepting nominations for a period of time, I think that could also use the social media outlets that you have already available to you. And I don't do a lot of local news watching, but sometimes the news stations do stuff just like this, and they air them during the breaks. So I don't know if there might be a way for the media, again, the communications office, to find out if they had an idea of who in Virginia Beach specifically were doing, volunteering or giving away things, or, serving meals or helping. So it sounds reasonable to me. I don't know what would be wrong with the montage with some music available both online and as far as duration, I guess it would depend on how many nominations you received.
Okay.
To be honest with you, people are going to watch it are the ones that are in it.
Yeah, that's
They'll see
true.
themselves, and they'll watch it. If you tell them they're in it, they'll watch it till the end. Doesn't matter how long it is. But if they're expecting the general public to watch it, you might want a shorter version that represents the categories instead of every single group that you want to recognize. But again, that's just
Okay. Thank you,
an
Kevin.
unprofessional opinion.
Thank you. It's always valued, and good to see you.
Sure.
Just quickly, my thought, if I could just, because I had mentioned it to Kevin earlier, there could be a possibility of us partnering with one of the local television stations who may want to run something, a shorter version of whatever we come up with, rather than just VBTV. I just want to put that out there. Okay.
Beatrice?
Yes, thank you. Yes, before Kevin has to leave us, my question is, and I wanted to clarify a couple of things, because I think when Teresa was saying that we don't want to recognize people, I was not at all thinking I understand clearly what we decided. We are going to do recognitions. But on the other hand, what I've heard was also that we did not want to mention individual groups or individual names. In my opinion, when we are producing say like 30 minutes of recognition of all the different organizations, it is not like I say we're going to dedicate, say, 1 minute to each one of them, but rather it can be a page in which you mention all of the different restaurants, and then you have a couple of pictures. I mean, that will make it interesting, not rather than each one at a time, because that would be like forever. And the question that I had for Kevin, for the purposes of making it interesting and maybe doing it during the entire month of December? How about dedicating time during, I mean, I don't know if it is too much work, but dedicating every week to uplifting and highlighting some of them for a shorter amount of time, because I think that you are correct. I noticed when I used to have a radio program that, I mean, if people are being interviewed, usually the people in the organization tunes in and you know, and you get the attention. Over here, we're not going to mention any names of anybody. I don't know how much encouragement that is for people to say, oh, let's sit down for half an hour and let's just look at pictures and in Virginia Beach. So those are two things. And if we do a shorter version throughout the month, once a week, with and maybe not even a program, say like, I don't know if you have like commercial type of intermissions where from one segment to the other on you know, Virginia Beach TV, before you transition, that you can just mention, you know, to all the restaurants that provided food for the needy, and then just put the name of a few pictures and then move on, and do that throughout the month. I mean, those are different ideas.
Kevin,
I'm still here.
is that possible through VBTV?
Well, again, you're gonna have to ask Julie about
Okay.
that. So I know capabilities, but I really can't commit their resources. So that's something you'll need to get through her. But they have, in between their programs, they use a message board. And the message board is mostly photos or graphics that are created. So the technical ability is there. But again, you'll have to talk to them about their resources. So if you wanted a different group, if you wanted to, and again, I'm not making a suggestion, I'm just brainstorming to try to help the conversation. If you wanted local medical professionals for 1 week, then you make that a little montage. And then if you wanted businesses the next week, and if you wanted nonprofits the next week, and then you wanted city and schools the next week, or again, I don't know what your categories are going to end up being. Or you could do it by service type provided. So that's something that you'll need to consider, and you might not know until you get the nominations in to see what your categories are really going to be. Because if somebody wants to nominate somebody and you're asking for categories, they're going to nominate them anyway, whether they fit one of your categories or not. And then you'll have to decide, you know, where do they go? But I haven't heard anything that's not technically possible. But again, I'm a little bit of a disadvantage because I don't know the work assignments already on the plate of that communications office.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Beatrice. David?
Yeah, I agree that the shorter videos, in my opinion, will get more play. So, Teresa, specifically, like when you had this in mind, I don't know if you were thinking like a 30-minute or 20-minute montage, but what we could do is maybe each day of the week of that human rights week, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, post like a 2-minute video of pictures. Maybe Monday could be restaurants serving people food, Tuesday could be people sewing masks, because any 2-minute video or 3-minute video I'll watch. I think that we have a chance that the news will play part of it. But a 20 to 30-minute video, there's no chance I sit through that unless like I know the exact time that I'm showing up in that video. And it's going to be too hard to tell, you know, if there's 1,000 photos in there, just tell 1,000 different people you're in this video, we need you to watch it. So I think we should try to compress them and maybe give each day or each week a specific theme and try to really make like a 2 to 3 minute short video. And maybe the news will play it like as a short little segment. I think we have a good chance if we can make it like smaller and shorter and more targeted.
Okay, thank you, David. Teresa?
Well, in answer to your question, David, yeah, I was thinking what people would watch for sure. And Kevin, I had a question for you because I was thinking too, we put out requests for pictures, and pictures just seem easier because anyone can participate. And when I said a montage or a collage, I guess I was thinking if we put some categories, but people are going to upload pictures of whatever, and then we would kind of put them in categories. Would there be a collage effect that could be like, say, for, grocery support, that kind of thing, and or essential workers in grocery stores, the truckers getting things to us, the childcare issues, the, cleaning supply, donation drives, the, restaurants and businesses, supports for, food and mental health supports. There could be as many as, say, possibly 20 categories, of essential workers, and then you add COVID testing sites, which could include, Centera and other partners. I'm sitting here just thinking, protecting community, which is everybody from, police officers wearing those masks to people in the community, social distancing. Could we do a collage of pictures where people are looking for themselves? You're putting a collage of pictures up there that is very interesting when people are just trying to kind of spot themselves or somebody they know. And the other thing that it's doing is awakening people to exactly what community heroes look like in all realms. So I guess that's, I'm trying to describe the vision that I had, David, not that this is all that helpful, but, to make it, watchable, it's got to be intriguing, and people have got to think that they're invested. And so if somebody sent a picture in, there's likely to be a corner of that person's face or whatever they're doing in a huge collage type picture that would flash up on the screen. And I was thinking to some sort of background music that would tell the tale. So yeah, I was not thinking long. I was thinking, by the time we, condense that into a collage type thing, which then could be used in other ways, but even the artistic community, there are all kinds of artwork that has been donated and created during this time. That could form one collage. So, I know this is sounding out of the box, but that's kind of what I was thinking, and that would not be long. It doesn't have to be long. I would think the entire program could be, less than 30 minutes, because it could be also our part. Our part is sharing what the Human Rights Commission is about and why we're uplifting these community heroes.
Thank you, Teresa. Did you have a follow-up for that, David?
No,
Because your hand was still up. Your virtual hand was still up.
I'm thinking like, so I think, yeah, I don't know, I'm trying to put this the right way. I obviously want as many people included as possible, but I think at some point we're going to have to start trimming this down, one, to make it possible, and two, just to make it watchable. If we include every single photo that's submitted, it could be a 2-hour long thing. So I don't know, I'm just trying to balance including it. People to sit there and watch. I still like splicing it into 10 3-minute videos and releasing one every other day for Human Rights Month, something like that, as opposed to releasing one big video. That would be where I'm what I'm thinking, but I don't know, it's tough.
Yeah, and I'll second that, David. Yeah, I wanted to just interject. I'll second that, because I think that you're right. No one's going to sit down and watch a 30-minute slideshow. We're going to get tired. So but the idea that to splice it up, and also, and I think Kevin is still here, and everyone, we could upload the short ones, the short little slideshows. I'm going to call them slideshows with music, and what music, so we can get a song that fits the amount of time. We can upload those on our Facebook page, and then we can share them each day. So better than VBTV, who some people don't get, but they're on social media. I think that would be a way that we could then get everybody to look each day to see where they're going to be.
I think we have a much higher chance of one of these going semi-viral if they're shorter. and someone can feel really attached to it. They see themselves in it. They share it. I mean, I'm thinking way outside the box, but if Pharrell saw one of these and he just tweets, look how the great things my city's doing, and it's 2 minutes, pictures of restaurants handing food out, I think there's a better chance that we get lucky with someone sharing it like that as opposed to a longer, broader approach. And again, I think the news, I think there's a chance they might play snippets of it if it's shorter and more tailored, and they can say, this video specifically is for restaurant workers, or this is for nurses, or this is for whoever we kind of decide.
Yeah, I want to actually chime in a little bit here, because I fully agree with what David is saying about the little videos, because I know when I'm online or anything like that, there's an outlet called Now This. I don't know if any of you have heard about it, but they put out little videos about inspirational things that have happened out in the country. And I know the way they do it with the music and everything and the little messaging that they put with it, it always brings tears to my eyes, and I share it and other people share it. So I think doing something like that really it's poignant, and it gets people's attention. Okay, Beatrice?
Yes, thank you. And that's why I was asking Kevin about the segments rather than a large program, because another thing that worries me is if we request pictures and people are going to be looking for themselves at large, how long do you have to have the picture on screen so that people can find themselves? And so I feel that it gives a little bit more flexibility, and to have it in different segments, in my opinion, that is what will bring interest, and it will be lasting. And I feel that having partners like let's see who else can show those segments. Say let's reach out to the TV stations and see who can partner with us, and make sure that they also lift it up in their in the programming.
And you can ask the groups. So if you get, I'm making up something, Centera or the school
Exactly.
division or whatever, if you'll
Yeah.
give them the montages to put on their sites, then
Yeah.
it'll be a
And-
viral activity instead of a dedicated TV activity, which I think you'll have better success with.
Yeah, and I think the
Anyway,
artistic
I'm
portion. Yeah, and I think, Kevin, that the artistic portion can be left to to the department, because once you provide the material, they will make sure that whatever we put out there looks clean, concise, and not confusing for people to pay attention to that. Thank you.
Yeah, and I apologize. I'm going to go, but I did type up some notes from our conversation. I sent them to Dominique. I sent them to Julie Hill in the communications office. I copied Dominique, and I also copied the volunteer resource office. And I would just say, if you need me again, just somebody reach out, and I'm always happy to help. And good luck.
Right. Thank you, Kevin. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, Luis has rejoined us. Hi, Luis.
Hi, listen, I've been listening to, until I get cut off, that is, I've been listening to everybody. I think you can incorporate everything that you want. You don't necessarily have to mention people's names or whatever from an audio perspective, or a picture, in other words, is worth 1,000 words you've all heard. My biggest concern is that we don't have a person like Julie with us at the meeting to be able to answer to us all of these ideas that were floating around, whether they're feasible or not, because having been in television, I know that the production of video is not that easy. And you can have anything from a 5-second to a 60-second piece. In those pieces, it takes a tremendous amount of labor to produce those. So I think that, I don't know if you need a motion or what we have to do, but we need to have somebody that, like this Julie person, that can tell us whether what we're thinking is even feasible. I think that a montage of different pictures or video or whatever is a good thing. It can, people's restaurant names can be shown without even expressing the name audibly through pictures and so on. So I think we can accomplish everything we want to, but right now I think we've got a lot of ideas floating, but we don't have anyone to tell us whether they're doable or not.
I know that we can do it because we do it every day on social media. I know on social media we can do that.
Yeah.
And BBTV, between programs, what they fill it with is pictures of, they keep repeating pictures of the city council. But in all honesty, you'd have to be on BBTV waiting for that to come on. So it's the more we talk, the more I'm leaning toward what David had said. We have a better chance of being picked up, a few snippets on regular news, and social media, I think, is now where it's going to be, especially
Right.
now, as we all are working from home. Someone's going to go, okay, I'm taking a break and look at Facebook. Oh, look at this. So I'm leaning.
That's where I would focus my efforts, is in social media versus even the television stations, because they even pick up on that social media.
Right. We tried one year to get we wanted a 5-second flash for Human Rights Day, and we couldn't find any station that was willing to donate the time. So do we need to give a vote on which way we want to go? And we all kind of shifted to the categories, or and away from the individuals, or we have not? You want to do a vote? We've lost who we got left.
Tommy, she had a comment. Hold on one moment. Tommy?
Yeah, I still like the idea of reaching out to some of the local TV stations. Some people like to do a special, like Janet Roach did a special. I don't know whether it's a few minutes. Kathy Lewis welcomes people to come and talk for an hour. I didn't want to lose sight of the fact that this is International Human Rights Day, and that at some point we had talked about the beginning of it, that we would talk about human rights and in our local Human Rights Commission, and some of the issues we've been involved in, and as well as recognizing these heroes. I mean, I don't think it takes that long actually to preface it with some of the issues that a Human Rights Commission is concerned about, or does what we do. It is Human Rights International Day.
Okay, thank you, Tommy.
Yeah.
Teresa?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I really appreciate us coming back around. I want to make sure that you all know that sectioning it off into snippets, I think, is better. It makes it, I thought at first we were only getting an opportunity for one event. So to have something that can be snippeted off, and but as Tommy said, I think we need to be clear on the front end, however we couch it, that this is in celebration of human rights. Well, we can say day or month if we want to put it like that, if it's going to be throughout the month of December, and that we tie that into why we feel like this particular moment in time, the challenges, the current challenges of what we're seeing in our society right now has created unsung heroes. And so this is the categories of I just want to make sure that and then when we put up a couple categories, it's not as if that's complete. We need to let them know it's a series. Is that making sense? That there are snippets where when they see the first one, just human rights celebrates whatever categories. And then the next time Human Rights Commission celebrates these categories, just so that we don't lose focus about what we're trying to do and what the recognition is all about.
Thank you, Teresa. Francis, you had a comment?
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of bounce a little bit off of what Tommy was saying. Is this the only thing that we're going to be doing for Human Rights Day or week? Because I mean, I got the impression that this was the recognition portion. I mean, could we still, if we wanted to, could we still have a forum? Could we still have have somebody go on the news and, like Luis, go on the news and talk about the Human Rights Commission and our role and what's going on? I mean, we still can do other activities Is this going to be our one big flash in the pan, or are we just planning this one event for Human Rights Week and that's it? Or that was just a question.
I don't think we're limited. I think because we don't have to send out nominations, we don't have to go through the whole thing. And as Tommy was saying that, this is an opportunity, and maybe we don't even have to wait until Human Rights Day, but for social media, there's nothing that says we can't have each week a highlighted post. See, Francis, you say what you're doing with human rights and the community work you're doing, and then the next week and put it up on our Facebook page, and then we can share it so people know that there's a Human Rights Commission and what you're doing. And I mean, that can be along with our other snippets. I don't think we need to limit ourselves. We haven't heard from our police officer. Scott, are you there? Do you have any input?
Yeah, I agree completely with the format, and I think I like the aspect of the short video clips each day. It gives us a chance to have better exposure. It gives us a chance to have somebody could just happen across a social media site that day and pick up on it. I also like the idea of recognizing the groups as opposed to not the individuals in that sense, in that aspect.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
Ginger, you had a statement?
Yes, if you want to see an example of incremental video presentations, go to Facebook Hampton Roads Pride and look at the video campaign series we are doing right now. We've just posted our third Pride Matters, hashtag Pride Matters video. And we're taking people from different parts of the community, and we've asked them why does Pride matter to you? And so they are uploading their videos, and they're raw, they're beautiful, and you can see how it looks in series. I believe the time frame on it is under 2 minutes too. It's like a minute, maybe a minute and some change. But it's really real. So Hampton Roads Pride on Facebook, and look at our video campaign on there. Thank you.
Thank you, Ginger. David?
Yes, I was just going to say I agree with Louis that the videos could be difficult. I don't think the photo montage will be difficult at all. I think, I mean, if I didn't have a 4-month-old, I would gladly do it. But I think a couple hours on like photo editor, they make it pretty easy. You say how long you want the photos to be up there, and you just start slotting them in one at a time. So I think a photo montage should be pretty easy for someone who knows how to do it. And going back to Teresa, kind of the groups, I like the idea of maybe if we could come up with 5-ish groups that includes everyone. So make them really broad. So whether it's essential workers, healthcare workers, you could make one that's ordinary citizens. So anyone who doesn't fall into a category, we could put them in the ordinary citizens bucket. But that way, every picture we get, we can just start putting them into one of these 5 really inclusive buckets where no one will fall through the cracks. So that, that we can come up with some names where no matter what is submitted, there's a place for them to go in a video. So that would be my suggestion, just so we can start narrowing it down. And it sounds like we're all somewhat in agreement on the recognition, not awards, and the short videos. And then if we're posting it on Facebook or on Twitter or on Instagram, we could say in honor of Human Rights Month or in honor of Human Rights Day, the Virginia Beach Human Rights Commission has decided to put out a 5-part series on people on unsung heroes during these times. Here's video 1 dedicated to blank, and then post it. And that kind of takes care of everything.
And you can also post it on the drive, VB.gov drive, so you can put a link to that for future and stuff. So it keeps coming up, and like I said, the police department will put it on our social media and link it to it. So it could easily spread well. And I really like the idea, like you said, Louis, about the slideshow. I mean, you can almost make a a PowerPoint presentation, but in video, and it wouldn't take somebody that's well-versed long to do that at all.
Okay, thank you. Did anyone have anything else to add or any questions?
Let's make sure we're on the same page. Can we get a motion and a second to be category, not individual? Is that simple enough for us to give a vote?
Does anyone want to present a motion?
Or are we on the same page already? Ginger's saying something, but I can't hear.
Oh, hold on, I'm going to Ginger, your mic is open.
I feel like we're all on the same page of
Okay.
category.
How about everyone
everyone
raise
else
their
can talk
virtual hand? Raise your virtual hand if we feel like we're all on the same page. Okay, Beatrice, David, Francis, you got your real hand. Ginger, Scott, Sylvia, Teresa, Tommy, Luis. Do you feel like, okay, all right. Consensus, we're all on the same page. Okay.
Cool. Short snippets, David's idea. Are we on the same page about that? Can we do the same thing? Looks good to me.
While we're all here, we should try to at least put a framework around how many. I mean, we can always change it, but I think maybe try to figure out how many we want to do and how long we want to make them. And then if we need to change it down the road, change it, but at least we'll have kind of a framework to work under.
You mean like at the time frame of each little snippet?
Yeah, or how many? Do we want to do 5 videos? Do we want to do 10? You know, just how many videos and groups do we want to do? And obviously, the smaller the number, the more inclusive we need to make them. Whereas if we do 20 videos, it can be a little more targeted. I'd be in favor of fewer and more inclusive, but happy to see what other people think or take a vote on it.
I'm going to say the short version, at least the length of each, I'm going to call them PowerPoint slideshow, should be 2-3 minutes. So it seems to me 5 minutes not enough, but I see hands up. Hello?
Do we want to put forth a motion?
Teresa has a hand. Oh, no,
Okay.
Teresa's
Oh, no.
Ginger? David?
Ginger, did you have something to say?
Yeah, well,
guess
I
she's-
was just giving my thoughts about, and Tommy, I think, brought this up, of having one each week. We can always do more if they end up being piece of cake, but if we shoot for 4, one each week, you've got, you know, a saturation point for people. We want it to repeat all week long, and that's an effort right there. And shooting it out to all the different media sources. So I know I'm still working with our video campaign with Pride, and I know how much work it is, and we're not going for 20.
Okay, thank you, Ginger. Teresa, did you have something to add?
Yes, I was going to agree with both David and Ginger that, you know, I think 4 big categories that can be condensed. Like you could have, you know, our young and teachers together. You know, we could have essential workers, and I don't know. All I'm saying is we could condense a couple categories, even if we had, you know, maybe 2 to each setting, but have 4 vignettes that go out through that whole month. 4 segments.
Okay. All right. Ginger, did you have more to say? Oh, okay. Teresa, lower your virtual hand for me, please, if you're finished. Thank you. Did anyone have more to add?
I think we're good. I think we're on the same page. So we're talking 4 big categories, and those yet to be defined. And we want them 3 to about 3 minute, and we're talking still photographs that are easy to do. And that sounds like we framed it pretty well for the commission, don't you think?
Did we want to put forth a motion or Tommy?
What would those photographs be of? You said 4 big, like it's going to cover a whole category. Would that be a lot of individual photographs in a
Yes.
collage thing? Mhm.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Tommy. Okay, any other comments or? All right,
So we're good with, this is our recommendation to the full body of the commission. What date is it? Today's the what?
the 16th
Oh, so we're in the middle of the month. We have a meeting in about a month.
on the 13th.
Should we just put this out in a email and like we've been doing? And if there's any, see head shaking, if there's anybody has any rebuttal, they'll certainly let us know. Would that be good, David?
David?
Yeah, I was thinking while we're here, maybe we can try to whittle down the categories, at least like start the discussion, while we're all here, we're all meeting, we're kind of on the topic, see if we can knock it out in like the next 10 minutes, just figure out 4 big inclusive categories.
Ginger is shaking her head, yes.
Ginger?
Okay.
I'm just saying, yes, let's try. And it doesn't have to be one, like Teresa just said, we can put a couple of things together and then it'll be fluid depending on, but we just get 4 general categories. Thank you.
So does anyone have a suggestion for a category or categories?
I think healthcare workers should be its own category. And I think our 4th category should be like ordinary citizens, which could be a catch-all. If somebody doesn't fill into a specific one of the other buckets, we can always put them in the kind of ordinary citizens bucket. That could even be that could be anything that goes in there.
Okay, thank you, David. Beatrice?
Organizations, nonprofits.
Okay.
I'll be writing this down.
Yeah, I'm writing them down. Thank you, Beatrice. Teresa?
Yeah, I had, rather than, siphon off nonprofits, Beatrice, you might be open to this. I kind of had 4 that I was thinking, and that's like, teachers and the young, so that any, the young movement. I don't know if you'd want to put ordinary citizens and essential workers into a category together, because a lot of those are, ordinary citizen jobs, but they're also, a lot of things could fit into that. Feeding each other and donation drives. Feeding each other would be, everything from the food bank activities to, ministries to also, donations drives that have been happening everywhere. And then the last category was protecting each other and equity and justice building. Because that, I was thinking, everything from mask wearing to social distancing, but also a lot of the equity and justice building that's been happening, in a safe and responsible way as we work on that. And that could include, the work that first responders and police and all of those are doing to protect the community. So those were 4 categories that I thought everything could fit into, but tell me if you don't think they could. The healthcare workers, would that be in essential working or no? I don't know.
They can fit into both. If you're using a protected category, our first responders, I was going to ask David that too, the first responders would need to be fit in there.
The healthcare worker in those categories is, teachers and the young, essential workers in healthcare. I was putting together if you thought that would work. So we need to play with that. And then these are just some ideas. I don't know, but that kind of breaks it down. And I think almost anything that we're thinking of could fit in there. I was thinking of the COVID testing, Beatrice, that could go under, healthcare and essential work. But then, yeah, I don't know. We can just a thought.
Thank
I
you.
like the essential workers and ordinary citizens. I think that's a good suggestion. I would still do medical as its own because I still think that's like the largest chunk almost. Nurses, people that are on the front lines dealing with it. I think you're going to get a ton of pictures of people donating masks and nurses wearing masks in the hospital. You could do maybe medical and first responders, put them together as one. Teachers and the young would be 2. Essential workers and ordinary citizens would be 3. And then we still have a 4th that we could maybe try to do businesses and nonprofits or something. It's going to be clunky, whatever we decide. There's not like a perfect solution. But I think healthcare should be its own, but that's my own personal opinion.
Thank you, David. Tommy?
I think human services is a large category, and then the nonprofits might go in with that. But I know everybody talks about mental health during this trying time, and we have local CSV that's providing mental health services throughout this whole thing, and they've had to adapt their services tremendously because they've been sitting in on the VA CSB conferences statewide on the telephone. And they've had to make large adjustments. Private practitioners, I know, mental health practitioners, they have stayed very, very busy with the telemedicine. And NAMI, of course, has stayed busy, as I've said. That's a nonprofit. But and Mental Health Coalition, I think that's I don't know that it would be a category, but I think those should be recognized because, we don't always hear about them, but it's a very important part. And I do know that they've been very busy and had to adapt and have stayed right on it.
Thank you, Tommy. Francis?
Yes. Well, Tommy, let me just say this. The mental health thing could go in with the medical group. I mean, in my opinion, I think. My question that I want to reflect on was a place for the social justice. There certainly should be some place where we indicate that we support the efforts towards social justice. I don't know where that would fit in. I know Teresa mentioned it somewhat, but I didn't hear it come out of the last 4. So I would definitely want to include, some pictures of the kinds of peaceful protests that have been going on in our city too.
Okay, thank you, Francis. Ginger?
Could I I've been taking pictures of Zooms for our records. Could I get everyone to kind of center in your frame and smile just for me? Okay. Okay, done. Teresa's on.
Okay, thank you, Ginger. Teresa?
Francis, I do want to tell you that was a category I wasn't willing to compromise on. That's why I called it protecting each other and combining it with equity and justice building. And so that's where I was troubled about because I did think that the feeding each other and donation drives was a separate category, but maybe it could fit into something else. But I think the protecting each other and equity and justice building, that would be my #1 group. So I concur and agree.
Thank you, Teresa. David?
Yeah, I would just say we got to clean that name up a little bit, Teresa, just try to make it a little, I know what you mean, but I think we need it to be 2 to 3 words so people just scrolling can see what it is. I don't have the answer to what that is, but I would just try to maybe simplify it if we could.
Okay. Did anyone have anything else to offer?
No, and I was answering an email from Julie. Make sure we give her the doodle next time so she can be part of this if we need her. I guess we'll need her tomorrow. So did we narrow down the different categories? What do we have?
There's a collection of them. Healthcare workers, and there was talks of potentially doing healthcare workers and first responders together, ordinary people and essential workers, organizations and nonprofits, teachers and the young, feeding each other and donation drives, protecting each other and equity and justice building. First responders again was mentioned as a singular, but then added in with healthcare workers. Human services, specifically with mental health, but that was suggested to go into healthcare workers. And then social justice, but that was mentioned with Teresa's suggestion of equity and justice building. So it looks like I would say,
I think we have like 6 right
yeah.
now ish.
So to get everyone's suggestions in, I would say, take that out. Yeah, we have 6 to fit everyone's suggestions into the groups that were all put out. So like I said, the healthcare workers and the first responders, ordinary citizens, and essential workers, organizations, nonprofits, teachers and young, feeding each other, donation drives, protecting each other, and equity and justice building. So that's what we have. I don't know if we want to trim that down. I know essential workers are usually considered healthcare workers and first responders. So I don't know if you want to maybe take that out or how you want to work that or keep it. Beatrice, you have your hand up?
Yes, thank you. And no, essential workers are also people in the farms,
Right.
the poultry, people in the supermarkets and so forth. So it's not just that. And I think the categories, you said that we can put 2 categories per one event. So, I mean, if some of them can be put in, like pair them.
Mhm.
But the other thing is, yeah, one, you can call them good neighbors or kind neighbors, because those are like individuals that actually go above and beyond. I don't know.
As of right now, these 6 categories are pairing groups. So I don't know if we want to keep it at 6. I don't know where else there could be the potential to trim it down.
Maybe trying to, am I on? I
Yeah,
can't.
you're on.
Yeah, okay, thank you. We might be, maybe we're, because we're trying to fit it into 4, and I realize what Ginger said, 1 a week is tough, but I know personally I put together slideshows. It's not that difficult, and maybe we could do 2 a week. I think that's reaching we would be able to spread these out a little bit more.
5 weeks in December. I just looked. So we might, if we did it on the Tuesday, if we did it on Tuesdays, there's 5 Tuesdays, the first of the month all the way to the 29th.
There is. Yes.
I personally think, obviously this is tough, but I think we could get rid of teachers and the young as a category and add that in. I mean,
True.
It's impossible to cut any of these categories, but if I was going to look at one that I think is a little too niche, I would maybe look at cutting that. Because at some point we're just going to have to make a tough decision to cut one of these.
And the particular names of these don't have to stay. We're just trying to categorize in our own minds, right? So they could go under. The teachers are fairly essential as well, right?
They could go under essential workers for the teachers, and then the youth for the ordinary citizens.
How does that sound, Teresa?
Teresa, your mic is open.
Yeah, I just don't, do we still have feeding each other and donation drives as a separate category? Okay.
Yeah, that's still one. Yep. Mm-hmm.
All right, then we could probably do that. And bravo, David, for finding a solution with the 5 weeks.
I know, I like the 5
That's
weeks.
impressive.
Tuesday, we even came up with a day. Thank you, David. Tuesdays in 5 categories. I love it. 5
Okay.
categories. And
So with that, the 5 categories are healthcare workers and first responders, essential workers and ordinary citizens, organizations and nonprofits, feeding each other and donation drives, protecting each other, and equity and justice building.
let's do our little hand thing. Are we on the same page?
Could rename that 5th category to make it a little clearer, whether it's social justice or
Okay.
try to simplify it a little bit, just for like the average person to read that sentence.
Right.
Okay, so it looks like everyone is on board for these 5 categories. Now the question is simplifying that last category, protecting each other, equity and justice building. Any suggestions? Teresa?
Oh, my hand is still up.
Oh,
Beatrice and
okay.
Tommy.
Beatrice?
Oh, wait,
Yeah,
she's
I just,
talking. Wait a minute.
I just,
I'm sorry, Teresa. Hold on. I'm sorry, Teresa.
I really wanted to hear Frances's input on what she was thinking, because we were kind of both looking at category together.
Okay. Francis?
I guess I'm still thinking. I think that just the social justice issues, equity and social justice, I guess, just those words would say enough. Because you've covered first responders, so that would cover the police and all of those categories. But I would like to make sure that we include the efforts that we've been seeing for social justice. So I have to think about that.
We don't have to decide today, but we
Right.
sometimes sleeping on it is good.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Teresa. Thank you, and Francis. David?
What sort of pictures, Teresa and Francis, were you guys envisioning in that category?
Francis?
I was hoping to see some pictures of the peaceful protests, some of the things that we've seen people doing to help each other in the peaceful protests, emphasizing the kinds of things we've been seeing in our society, in our city, over the last several weeks. I don't think we can ignore it. I think it is a part of what we are dealing with as a community. So, I mean, I would hope that the community would submit their pictures so we would, we can decide on what to use and what not to use. And that was another thing I was thinking about. What if we get, hundreds and hundreds of pictures? Will we cull through them and decide what to use and what not to use, or will we just use everything that's submitted? Or how do you decide whose picture you're going to use and who's not? That's an issue that I want us to think about too. Is this appropriate? Is that not appropriate?
And
who's going to tackle on that?
if
Thank you, Francis.
Yeah, I thank you. If I can answer a little bit of that, I think we're also going to be, this has to go through the city, since we are technically representing the city of Virginia Beach. It's going to have to be approved through the city and public relations. Am I correct in that? I know we don't have anybody here, but I think everybody's dealt long enough with the city that they will tell us what, like you said, is it appropriate or not appropriate? I think they won't have any problems telling us if it is or not. Hopefully, Francis, by the time that this gets done, there will have been a series of public hearings where people are talking, and we'll have other photographs, not just the protests, but some results and actions.
Also, one more thing. Can we assume that because we have the picture, that the person has approved that their picture be used? Because I know in schools, you can't just put kids' pictures up on websites and stuff like that. You have to pull up the parents and blah, blah, blah. So can we just assume that if you send the picture in, you give your approval for us to use it in a public forum? So that's something else. That's another caveat.
Yeah, I don't think that we can do that. I think we have to have a real
Yeah,
release.
the city has a new form that they have that for approval. I'm not sure if they would require it. My guess is they may, that gives a release for you to use your picture in that aspect. So we'd have to get a decision probably from Julie Hill's office.
And we'll make sure she gets copies of the minutes and invite her to the next meeting. Do the via Doodle.
Okay. It's Teresa.
Yeah, as a community organizer, we often use pictures. So there's just a disclaimer, which I think we just would ask Julie what that disclaimer is, and just include it on whatever we do to submit the pictures. And also is the disclaimer that in the event that too many pictures are sent, we're limited. So then you right away, you just say, we'll try to include as many as we can, and please do it, that kind of thing. But people know that when you're putting something together, it has to be called. And then in answer to David's question, it was just like what Francis was saying. There have already been so many, we had a powerful police community relations table where we continue to work on the equity work. We have on the 28th, I saw the prayer pilgrimage that we're putting together went out to the Human Rights Commission. That will be an event that is all about just the covered monument, being able to show the city engaged in these kinds of dialogues and conversations. On the 23rd, there's the public meeting that Sylvia said. So I think there's plenty of things that we can take. And once again, if it's a collage, we get to show how those pictures go up, right? And so we make that decision. Is that helpful, David?
David, your mic is
Yes.
open. Okay.
Yes, that was helpful. Thank you.
Okay.
I like the pictures of, like, I think pictures of protesters wearing a mask would be a pretty cool picture.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you, David. Thank you, Teresa. Tommy, you had something to add?
I don't think I had my hand up.
Oh,
I did. I'm sorry.
that's okay. No worries. Okay. Did anyone else have anything else to add? Did we make a decision on rewording the final category, or we want to sit on that, think that through? Beatrice, you had a
Yeah,
comment?
I think I right now, because I think we're going to be flexible, that we can still tweak, whatever we are going to, depending on the pictures that we receive. So I feel that right now that we have a clear understanding of the categories, that is enough, with the understanding that we may, change things a little bit depending on, what we received. And just going back to what Francis was mentioning, I feel that it is extremely important to acknowledge the movement that is taking place in our community. And we would be amiss, being Human Rights Commission, to actually go by and take into account just official thoughts, when actually, we are recommending that some things be acknowledged in our community. And I feel that actually that is what builds good relationships. It is not, just listening to the sides and saying that, those sides can stay on their own corners, but actually that we are making the step to make sure that we lift up the good things that are happening in our community, that impulses for change and justice, and also that we are going to be the conduits to convince the city council, which we represent, as to why that is good.
Thank you, Beatrice.
Exactly. So if there are no other, Tommy, your hands up.
Tommy.
Yeah. I think that's good to include what Beatrice was just talking about, and Francis, the peaceful protest. I did think in the beginning, when we were talking about unsung heroes, that's what we were going to focus on, and that it had to do with the COVID-19 pandemic and all the things, that have been happening during that. So it can be expanded to include all the things that have been going on during this period.
Exactly. I think that
Yeah.
that's why.
Not just
Oh, I'm sorry.
by the pandemic, right?
Yeah, right. That's why I created those two task force, because
Uh-huh.
those two
Yeah.
life-changing events are leading us, and
Okay.
they can't be ignored. They should be totally
Yes.
recognized by us. So what I'm hearing is that
Teresa had a comment.
okay, sorry.
I just want to go on record. When I put forward the proposal, it was to lift both. It absolutely lifted both. So this isn't an expansion, Tommy. We definitely said that those two cataclysmic, historic, pivotal moments in our history were what we wanted to lift and recognize unsung heroes in those categories. So I just want to make sure we're not expanding it based on what we all agreed on. That was the original proposal because I made it.
Okay, we just hadn't said anything about that before today, and I think that's good. I think it's very good. It's been very impactful in the whole period.
Thank you, Tommy. Thank you, Teresa.
So I think we're all on the same page, and our action items are, after we get the minutes, I'll send an email out to the rest of the commission and other liaisons to see how it's received, and then we should send out a doodle for the next meeting and make sure that Julie Hill's department gets this in time, way ahead of the meeting. So are those the two action items we come away from? We made a lot of decisions. Good job.
Okay. Any other comments or any other questions, suggestions? We're all good.
Open everybody's mic and see what they say.
That's what I'm doing right now. We're thinking the same. Okay, everyone's mic is now open. Are we all in a good place? We all feel good?
All is well.
Good
job, Dominique.
All right.
Job. Bravo, people.
Yes.
We're getting good at this.
Yeah, we are.
All right. We'll wait for the next doodle to come out for the next meeting. How long do we should maybe a week to hear from all the commissioners?
I think you also want to hear from the city staff, from Julie's office, and then that's going to determine how soon we can meet.
Right. But to give Julie an idea, are we thinking within the next week, which would be, or the 2 weeks?
Well, if it's a lot of work, I guess sooner the better.
Okay. So how about we do a doodle saying next week and the following week and see how it goes.
So 23rd and 30th?
I'd give us more days than that. Okay. Like 23rd, 4th, 30th.
Okay, but I'm just saying the first date, 23rd and on.
Is that good for you guys? Anybody?
Is okay.
Oh, you know what?
What?
With the 23rd being the day that they're doing the public hearing, do you think Julie's office might be too busy?
Just a little bit.
Yeah, I think so.
Plus, we may want to be at that hearing. I don't know the time.
Yeah.
Do you know the time?
I have to go to the hearing, so I can't be at the meeting.
Okay, so not
24th and on?
Yeah, how's that?
Okay, 24th and 24th. I'll give like 3 days. I think I've been giving 3-day options. So 24th onward. Okay, 24th.
Yeah, and just exclude the 28th. Exclude the 28th.
Okay, exclude the 28th. Okay, alrighty. So I'll do 24th on, excluding 28th. Trying to think if anything else, especially citywide, is going on within that time period. And I don't think so. I don't think anything else, unless something, God forbid, comes up. But I I don't recall hearing anything going on with the city as far as any hearings or anything of that nature coming up after the 20. I think the 23rd is the big thing right now, and everyone's kind of concentrating on that.
And once again,
All righty. Is there anything more to add?
I just want to ask about Louis. Is he having technical problems? Or is his internet? What is going on? Is he having a problem with WebEx?
For some reason he keeps on getting kicked off. I think I'm gonna give him a. I put it in the login instructions that a tip for getting on WebEx. If you have like if your Wi-Fi is feeding off of multiple
Devices?
devices, it can sometimes pull away from whatever, because WebEx I think does require a good amount of internet
Bandwidth, yeah.
bandwidth. Yep. So if he has something else running on his Wi-Fi, it might be pulling him off of the
Okay.
WebEx. So I'm
I
gonna
was just wondering, was it our technical issue or was it his?
No, and this has happened. I think it happened to him last meeting too. So I'm
Yeah,
gonna reach out
it
to him
did.
and see if he is if his maybe he has like home security and a
Right.
couple phones and so on and such coming off of his Wi-Fi. So
Okay.
Yep.
Just checking.
all righty.
Okay,
Thank you.
everybody.
I've got to
Thanks,
run.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you,
Thank you,
everybody.
Bye.
God bless.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Everyone have a good day and a good weekend if I don't talk to you again.
thanks.
All right,
Okay.
sweetie. Bye-bye.
You're welcome.